Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Cat's Track. We post an interview with an amazing Canadian each weekday for your daily inspiration. Today, I would like to introduce you to my friend, Tim Cestnick. Tim was born in Oakville, Ontario, one of my favorite places in the world. He is married to his amazing wife, Carolyn, and they have three amazing children, ages 21, 20, and 17. He tells me that Carolyn is his biggest supporter, and he could not have accomplished in life what he did without her by his side. She is also a very successful realtor. So awesome. Besides Tim's loved ones and his vocation, he is very passionate about hockey. He has been a coach and a former player, and they've been a hockey family for many years. He's also passionate about his faith. We share that. They attend a local church, in Oakville, which his entire family is involved in. Very nice. Friends, you will find his full bio attached. Tim, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Catherine. I'm glad to be with you and have a conversation.
Thank you. Are you ready for the questions that we sent you?
Go. I'm ready as ever. Sure.
Awesome. Okay. So the tough one always is, what's been your greatest challenge in the last few months?
Well, obviously we've been in the middle of COVID-19, which has been obviously a new thing for just about everybody. I think as a business owner and particularly an owner of a younger business, we're in our third year now. So we're busy, we're really growing. And at the best of times, maintaining a balance in life has been, a challenge to make sure I'm spending the time I should be with my family and just resting. And I think through this time, it's been even easier to have a balance that's not quite where it should be. You get up in the morning, there's no need to commute into the city to go to work, walk down to my office on our main floor in our house. I'm at the office, and it's easy to forget about what time of day is it, and should the day be over now? My inbox is never going to be empty. So I have probably over the last 3 months struggled to maintain the kind of balance I probably should. I'm aware of that, so I'm working on it.
That's awesome. That seems to be a general consensus all around. Everyone's having a hard time with that balance.
You know what it is? I think, in a typical workday, I could have 3 meetings, and I'm traveling between meetings, right? Well, now I'm having 5, 6 meetings a day because we can. And out of every meeting comes a couple more hours of work to do or follow up. So it's almost like the amount of work's just kind of ramped up. And rather than sort of saying, okay, let's just reduce the number of meetings in a day, let's slow things down a little bit. It's been easy to kind of try to rise to the occasion and just do more. So it's been a busy time.
Oh, well, and congratulations. And what a successful business you have there. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I think we're fortunate. Not everybody's has seen that happen through this time, and we've been fortunate. So I'm grateful for that, for sure.
That's awesome, Tim. And the 3 things that you would like to share with our audience today?
Well, I think, I was giving a lot of thought to that. There's so many things I could talk about, but I look at this whole time we're in right now with COVID-19, and I actually look at this as a huge opportunity. And you may think, well, how is that? Well, I think of family, I think about myself, I think about my business. And in particular, I'll talk about those 3 areas. So as far as family goes, Catherine, I don't know what your family's like, but I've got 3 kids in their late teens, early 20s. 2 of them are away at university. They're not home very often. And over the last 3 months, we've been all together. So actually, to be honest with you, that part of it I've really enjoyed. We are seeing the kids a lot. I can't count the number of dinners we've had together in the last 3 months, which just wasn't happening before. So we've taken the time, I think, to draw closer together as a family. We played a lot of games. We're not going to the rink. We're not going to baseball games. We're not, we're home. So we're doing things together. So I would say, as far as, if I could leave something with the listeners out there, people are watching this, try to do what we've done and really draw closer to each other during this time. I know not everyone has that, but if you've got family and you're seeing them more, great time to just try to do things together and draw closer together. I think secondly, as far as, taking care of ourselves and myself, I've not done a great job of that through this time. I talked about, maybe the lack of balance a little bit, which I'm working on and need to get better at. Also, I think just physically, not being able to go to a gym or just sitting at my desk for more hours than I normally would. It's something I have to be very aware of. My best friend is a personal trainer, so he cracks the whip and makes sure that I'm actually, getting physically active. But I think, we need to take care of ourselves. And that's, in my case, it's probably it's been more effort over the last 3 months, but I need to do that. And I think also, as far as businesses go, I'm not sure what the state of most of the businesses are that people are watching this. If you happen to be a business owner, now it's just a great time to innovate. So we've been forced to do this. I remember the day, it was March the 23rd. We made the decision as a company that we weren't going to be meeting in the office anymore for a period of time. So we all started working from home. We had never tried Microsoft Teams. We knew we were going to use it because we all had it. We'd never used it before. We thought, let's hope this works. And actually, out of necessity, we've really become really very productive from home. We've learned to use the technology. We're using different types of technology to become more innovative. But even just the way we work together, our business is one where we need to meet regularly to talk about clients. So we've found ways to do that, and we're very efficient at it now. So I would say, out of necessity, we're all forced to become a little more innovative, and that's not a bad thing. I think it's a good thing.
I agree with you. Can we circle back to your second point just for a moment?
Yeah.
You referred to, taking care of ourselves. And of course, I guess we can't forget, and I know you haven't, we've had this discussion about mental health and leadership. What are some of the tips that you would share with other leaders out there, and how are you staying resilient?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know what? Everybody, as far as mental health goes, I'm acutely aware that not everybody manages through crises the same. I'm just a person by nature that doesn't get stressed out about a lot of things, and things roll off me pretty easily. I realize not everybody's like that. I also realize that during this time that we're going through, we have staff who are going through different things, right? Some have little kids at home, some are home by themselves, they're alone. So everyone's got a different situation. And I think as a leader, we all need to be aware of the people who we are with, who are working for us or working with us, be aware of their circumstances, the challenges they might be facing, and really try to accommodate them and help them along if we need to do that in any way we can. During this time, you hear stories about people who are at home with somebody who's maybe abusive, but they have to be at home together now, right? They're not living apart. So I have the good fortune not being in that kind of a situation, but not everybody is in that situation. So I think as leaders in our community, we need to look around and say, even to the people we live next to and people we interact with day to day, just to be aware of what's going on in their lives. Is there anything we can do to help them along the way to make getting through this time a little bit easier? We're all learning as we go here when it comes to dealing with COVID-19. Now that we've been in it for a little while, I think we're starting to understand it a little bit better and how to manage it and how to deal with the issues that come out of a pandemic like this. But I think the top of that list has to be the people around us, keeping them safe, looking out for them, and just being aware of how they're doing and try to help them if we need to.
Oh, I love it. That's so true, isn't it? And truly being empathetic for those around us. So what a good message. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, we even in our office, we've tried to remind our staff, make sure you're healthy mentally and physically. Get rest. It's a crazy thing, but I'm on Microsoft Teams a lot because we're using it now. And I could be sending a message to somebody at 11 o'clock at night, one of my staff, and I'll get a response back in 10 seconds. And it's like, what are you doing at your computer? That's not good for anyone's mental health, but here I am sitting at the computer. So I think, we need to hold each other accountable and make sure that we are all getting the rest, the physical exercise, that we're all doing well, mentally, health-wise.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you, Tim. And you have a good news or legacy story that you'd like to share with us?
Well, yeah, you were asking a bit about either legacy or opportunity.
Hmm.
As I look at what's going on around us, I think there's tremendous opportunity for us to improve our society, improve our workplaces, improve our everything, our families, our financial situation. What this pandemic has done, I think, in my mind, it's really highlighted certain weaknesses that we have. Um, and anytime we've noticed weaknesses, I think it's an opportunity now to flip that around and say, let's fix it now. So just to give you a few examples I was thinking of, in Ontario here, talking about the healthcare system, actually, I guess it's nationally really, in terms of healthcare, you might remember early on in the pandemic, we were wondering, do we have enough personal protective equipment for our healthcare professionals? Are there enough masks? Are there enough gloves? Do we have enough ventilators? Well, we were running into problems early on. So that was a weakness we had. I'd like to think that that's going to get fixed. So this has helped to bring that to light. I think that's going to get fixed. In terms of senior care, here in Ontario, senior care has been a real problem. You look at some of the long-term care homes, some have not been rated very well at all. They've not handled this very well at all. And it's highlighted the deficiencies and the weaknesses we have in looking for after our seniors. And so I think, as a society, I think that's going to get better. That's going to improve because other countries like Australia seem to have it right. So we're going to improve. I think about, physical health. I talked about, getting the right amount of exercise. That's been a challenge for me during this time, but I'm aware of it. I think all of us have struggled to some extent with that, probably, unless we're making sure we're getting outside as much as we should. Mental health, we've talked about, right? That's been a challenge too, getting the right rest, getting the right breaks from work. It's highlighted in my mind some weaknesses I have in my own life as far as a balance goes. And maybe in our community, I understand there's some charities in our community, which I'm aware of, that are struggling right now. They help the community deal with mental health issues. They're struggling because they're overwhelmed with the amount of work there is to do. I'm on the Burlington Community Foundation, so I have the privilege of hearing about some of the stories of some of the charities in our community. Some of them deal with mental health issues and they're struggling with the amount of work that they have to do right now. So this has highlighted weaknesses we've got in call it the system or in our own lives, and which is not a bad thing, because when you identify where you're weak, we can make changes, we can improve things. So I think there's an opportunity there. So in terms of a legacy, if this generation leaves anything behind for the next generation, hopefully it's life lessons, the lessons we've learned through this pandemic, and we'll be more prepared for the next pandemic, which hopefully won't happen for maybe never, or not for another 100 years. But we'll be more prepared for crises when they come up. And last thing, I think there's some strengths that I've recognized that are around me that I've identified, not necessarily my own strengths, but strengths in the industry that I work in, the business that I'm in. We've done really well through this time, and I think it's because during crises like this, people often think about their financial health. So talk about the other types of health, your financial health. For example, a lot of financial planners give good advice that people should have 3 months of spending set aside in an emergency fund. Very few people actually get there and actually ever do that. But you know what? If a lot of people had done that earlier, then the last 3 months probably would have been a lot easier for a lot of people who are either not working today or they're not making as much money as they were. So coming out of this, hopefully people will recognize, yeah, that actually is an important thing, and we're going to be better for it going forward. But in financial health, I recognize now, because we've been so busy, what it's highlighted to me is that when times of crises like this, people do care and get concerned about their financial affairs. Are their wills up to date? Is their estate plan appropriate? How are their savings doing? How are their investments doing? People take an interest in these things during times of crisis. So we've been busy. And what it's showed me is, what it's reconfirmed in my own mind is that I'm in the right industry. I love what I do, but at the same time, we're able to help people even in difficult times like this when they really need help in these types of times. So I think that's been a positive for me to really recognize, and encourages me that, going forward, I'm even more excited about what we do. because we can make a difference in the lives of people, a positive, lasting, and meaningful difference in the lives of people in challenging times. So anyway, I think weaknesses and strengths come to the forefront at times like this, and we can learn from those things.
I agree with you. I think it also helps that we have such a strong faith, you and I. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. For me, my family, wife and kids and I were Christians. We go to a Christian church. What's been interesting to this time is we haven't physically gone to church, but we've managed to remain close to our church. We have online services, so the technologies, we're taking advantage of that. But also because we're physically together as a family, we've been able to talk more about our faith, talk about where is God in all this, why is this all this happening. It's actually been really good from that perspective. I'm not saying COVID-19 is good in any way, but we're making the best of it. And I ultimately believe that that I'm not ultimately in control of everything that goes on around me. But I know that there's a God out there who cares. So that's what I believe, and our family hangs on that day to day, and it makes us stronger. And it's probably one of the reasons why I don't really get too stressed about a lot of things.
I get it. I'm a big Joel Osteen fan.
Oh, good. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I love his positive messages.
Yeah, you know what? There's a lot to be learned from, talking about faith. There's a lot to be learned through, reading scripture and things like that about just a mindset and how we should approach things day to day. And so as general, I'm a pretty positive person. And I know we're going to get through this whole pandemic. It's going to be a blip it'll be in the history books for sure, but we're going to get through it, and we'll come up better to the other side because of it.
I agree with you, Tim. Thank you so much for the inspirational message today. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Catherine. Glad to join you today.
Thank you. Everybody, that was Tim Cestnick, amazing individual here in Canada. I loved it. I hope you did too, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.